to that.
Welcome to, what did you say? Episode 2.
Special guest, Nathan.
Nathan's a host.
What?
Brendan.
It's like abuse movie.
It's fun.
This is his favorite thing to go.
Start walking off and... You said it normal. That was a good job.
That's Zach. I'm Wesley.
I'm Brianna.
I'm Zoe.
Special guest, Nathan.
Nathan's a host.
What?
Thank you to all of you who listened to our first episode. We're glad to be able to do our second episode. This is our
Third episode.
No,
Third.
This is
This is
second. This is our secondary
Like
attempt.
2.5. 2.5 is fair.
Secondary attempt to record this episode. We got about 20 minutes in, and then the
We
computer we were
realized
using.
we had no content.
No, that is not true. The computer we were using killed itself. So now we are attempting
Because it
our
was
second
listening to our podcast.
Oh, no.
time. It was
Oh.
sentient. It said, this can't be put on Spotify.
If you didn't listen to the last episode because it was marked explicit, these are the reasons why.
It
This
is Nathan's fault.
Nathan is the reason why.
I
It's
thought
not
we were going to
specifically
be like,
bad, but there's occasional outbursts.
this episode is for you, because we're not going to get an explicit rating this time.
That's
Exactly.
right.
Hopefully.
And you can listen to the last one because it's not bad.
Yeah.
It just talks about, we
Some
can't
stuff
say.
that we can't say, or this will
We
be
can't
awesome.
say don't listen to it.
But thank you also to those who are... our podcast is international, guys. We had people
That's
from Australia and Canada
Go us.
come and listen to our podcast, which
crazy.
is crazy to me.
That is
We also had 1,000 people search for our podcast since the time we uploaded
How
it.
do you know it was ours?
They had to type, what did you say with a question mark and look at it in podcasts. And it said it
Look
had,
at our.
That seems like
100 has 1,000.
There is another
impressions.
another
podcast
podcast
called
name.
What Do You
Well,
Choose?
Well,
there
that's
were like
true.
5
but
or 6,
This
but
name
ours
is-
is the
they're-
very first podcast that pops up when you look
Yeah.
at it in podcast.
Wait a
when
second.
you
the
type it
other
in.
ones haven't
Bro.
been active since like 2021.
We picked this
Oh.
dumb name and it's not even original, is what you're telling me?
Nathan,
Let me look that up right now. That's
Nathan.
crazy. That's actually crazy.
We're the very first one that pops up, bro.
Oh, so we're dominating someone
You have
else.
to put the
search.
question mark at the
No.
end of
What?
say.
Oh, so if you
Do you
don't
not
use
have
proper
Spotify on your
punctuation, we're
phone?
like gone.
We're lower.
like a boomer.
Please use exact match when you're searching for this podcast on Spotify.
That is true.
Otherwise, you'll never find it.
Also,
On your phone.
we are.
It's fine.
What am I gonna say? I'm sorry.
Zoe
Blanking
has
on.
a quote.
She has a quote, yes, but I have something to say before. I forgot it. Anyway, Zoe, just go ahead. You do
Okay.
your
Oh,
quote.
were you
Oh,
talking
by the
about-
way, also.
Excellent.
We're changing
segue.
the way that we're doing the quote system here. So instead of all of us just getting one guess, we're going to be playing like 20 questions to try to figure out who the quote was by. So Zoe, go ahead.
So on our first try with this podcast, I had the quote, "I love deadlines. I love the whooshing noise they make as they go by Douglas Adams. For those of you who know him, they know him by The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The only reason I know him is because of my dad. So
And
here's...
none of us knew him.
None of us
None.
except for Wesley's wife knew who this person was. So here is the new quote. 2 things are infinite. The universe and human stupidity. And I'm not sure about the universe.
That's funny.
Is this from an actor?
No.
Are we taking turns asking questions or just whoever asks the
Do
question?
I have to keep count of how many
I'll
questions?
keep count of how many. We
That's
got one question done.
One question.
Okay,
It's not an
Nathan, you're
actor.
next.
Is it? Man.
You're not Nathan.
We're going in order so
It's
we
gonna
can
take
be
forever.
even.
Fine, I'll do it. Is it a is it a man?
Step back, peasant. I'll ask the question.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, Nathan, it is a male.
Oh,
Okay,
there we
so
go.
yes to it being a man, but no to an actor.
Half the people eliminated. Good job. We're gonna get this.
Anyway.
Is it a prominent person in science?
Yes.
I know who it is.
Okay.
I have
when,
a guess. That
when
was.
can we guess if we have a guess?
We all have to agree on if we want
Well,
someone.
you
we all
just said
can
we have to
a
go
guess.
in order.
So
It's
Wesley,
your turn.
yeah,
You have a guess?
you go ahead.
you want to be selfish or do you want to help the team? Is the question.
I have a guess also now.
I have a guess. Okay. Did this science man have a TV show?
No.
Oh, okay.
I know you were going to say that.
I have another
We
question
all grew up
to
with that
ask.
same scientist.
I have another question to ask.
Okay.
Was this scientist alive during the time of Oppenheimer?
Yes, I'm pretty sure I think he was.
How old was he during the time of Oppenheimer? I bet you can't even answer that.
You are right, Nathan. I was not there.
I
Were
win.
you?
She
I
was not
win.
prepared for that
All
question.
right, I think.
What? You have a guess?
Nathan asked his question.
Hey,
Oh.
yes.
It was a
Wesley,
bad
go
one.
ahead.
Am I supposed to guess?
That can't count because it's supposed to be a yes or
Neil
no.
deGrasse Tyson. I don't know.
He
Is
had
that
a
what
show.
we're doing?
No, it is not Neil deGrasse Tyson.
My guess is Einstein.
It is Einstein.
Oh.
Let's go,
That was a
Wesley.
good guess.
That was my guess also.
Einstein was funny.
He
I
was
went
funny.
with
He was funny,
like
too.
a more relevant modern scientist.
That's
Nathan,
the
none
way.
of it- I don't know who that is.
For the
I
kids.
like it.
Neil
Uh-huh,
deGrasse Tyson, you
uh-huh.
don't know who that is?
I might know him, but not by...
The answer
Bro.
is in the question. It's pi. 3.14159726.
That'd be a good
I am, he
episode.
is.
We
You
could
are
just
too.
recite pi as far as each of us could to see who wins.
How far can you recite it to?
3.1415.
I don't know.
97.
2 places.
Do any of you
3.14.
know, this happened in Brianna and I's personalities quoting movies. Do any of you know what movie we're quoting?
I do. You guys are
I'll
quoting
say
Night at the
Zachary,
Museum
yeah.
too.
Zachary
Yes.
started it.
Oh,
Yeah.
What
That's such a good movie.
terrible
That is a-
movie.
Oh,
What?
That's a good movie.
It's a good one.
Brand-
You're dressed like you work at
Brandon.
Publix. You can't,
It's-
like, abuse movies.
It's Borundon.
Oh, you
Do
tell me
not
that every
cross
time I
this
wear this shirt.
line.
Because you look like you
Yeah.
work at Publix.
It's because Publix workers wear green
believe
shirts.
Um,
That's why.
First you spoke.
I could wear a red shirt and it'd be like, you look like a Target worker.
No,
Exactly.
it's the button down. It's the shade of green. That's why you look like you work at Publix. For those
A
of you
manager
in the
at
north
Publix,
who are
like-
not blessed by the southern grocery store Publix
And their cookies.
and their cookies
And their subs.
and their subs,
And
their
their sushi.
lemonade.
it is the
Oh.
grocery store of angels. And we don't have it anywhere above
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
So it's the grocery store of demons.
Yeah, the grocery store of demons up here is like, I don't know. Everyone compares Schnucks to Publix, and I think Schnucks is the worst.
Bro,
Not
the
a
Midwest
Schnucks fan.
has too many competing grocery stores. We got Schnucks,
Dearbergs.
Dearbergs,
Yeah.
All right.
Sam's
Kroger.
Club.
Mosher's.
But could we just say,
Moses
as
is not
a
popular.
sponsorless podcast, we probably shouldn't be talking smack about all the local grocery stores. What if they want to run weekly ads?
I would rather run weekly Publix ads.
I would rather run
Get
a
free
weekly
Publix
Publix
cookies
ad.
all the
Free
time.
Do you
Cookies
want me to
for
be
life.
sponsored by Mosher's?
Bump that.
Is it? Well, what's
They
wrong
do
with
have
Mosher's?
good deals on bacon scraps,
Also,
though.
for our listeners, I have a question for you. Post episode comment in yes or no. But we were talking about making stickers for our podcast with our podcast logo. And if you think that'd be something cool and you would put it on like a water bottle or a computer or something to promote our podcast, and that's something that you would enjoy having, comment yes or no.
We should
And
get a
we
better
will
logo before
decide.
we print stickers.
Nathan,
all right.
Zoe designed that
Nathan is getting
logo.
booted from the
You
podcast.
guys voted on it
Dang.
too and liked
Zoe,
it.
I really like
It
the
was.
logo.
It's
It
a
is a
good,
good
logo.
logo.
It's a
good
starter logo. Nobody actually gave me constructive criticism on my logos either. Everyone just kind of said, "Yeah,
I
that
did.
looks- You
I
did.
said it
Brandon
When you were
did.
making them, I did.
Yes, you did. But the other two were just like, "Yeah, I'm fine with the logo.
I think it looks good.
Thanks."
Ignore the sound of snacks opening.
Looks like a
It's quite
microphone.
loud, actually.
Oh, guess what, Nathan? We have a microphone in this podcast. That's why it has a microphone in the logo.
They can't see it though. They're
Okay,
listening to us.
anyways. Zachary, were you gonna say something about how like the podcast like sometimes will go on a serious train of thought, but then at other
Oh,
times-
yeah.
isn't
So
going well.
we got some feedback from our first episode that people were saying, I don't really know what's the purpose of your podcast. Like, you guys just seemed like you were doing random trains of thoughts all over the place, and it was hard for me to track. So, for those listening, our podcast is a comedy podcast. So there will be times where our podcast will have a single direction of thought where we're talking about different segments, and we're just talking about that segment. And there'll be other times where we will just jump around from different segments for the comedic value of things. So you just have to stick with us. Comedy podcasts aren't your thing. Sorry. Sorry that you won't be listening to us, but we won't miss you.
Wow. We're not
We
winning
will
any
miss you.
viewers from
We will
that.
miss you. We
Don't listen to
do
him.
want you to listen to us.
Yeah.
Because we are
And we're
funny
sorry.
people.
If you can't follow us.
Because you're missing out.
This is also coming from the guy who has consistently told us that Brandon and I aren't real hosts, but we're permanent resident guests.
Oh yeah, just to recap, our hosts are me, Zachary, Nathan, Wesley,
Brianna.
And Zoe.
and Brian and Zoe.
Yeah,
I just
thank you.
introduced myself as special guest.
Well, you're not a special guest.
Special guest.
He's special.
So, guys, what are your
And
thoughts
guesty.
about the pyramids? Like how they were built,
Hear me out.
what they're used for, what's truly inside
Hear
of
me
them.
out. Aliens.
Oh, snap.
Who knows what movie that is
Now
from?
what movie are we quoting?
Comment in the comment section if you know what movie they're quoting.
What about you freaks here? We'll give you guys 10 seconds. That's enough time. What movie do you guys think we're quoting?
Bro, I have no idea.
Oh, noobs.
Oh wait, hold on. Is that from like Bolt or something?
Yes!
Let's go.
Let's go, Wesley.
Good job.
It's
Nathan
the
wouldn't
little
know that. Nathan's old.
pigeons.
Yes, the
Yes,
pigeons say it.
Bro.
Well
Aliens.
done. Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Wesley is
Cracking a
handed him
cold
in
one.
vision.
Of sparkling
Oh.
water.
There goes our explicit rating.
We said sparkling water.
I think that the pyramids were not built by aliens.
Well,
Hopefully that's not
I think they have dead people in them. Weren't they tombs?
That's
As Christians,
Yes.
I'd like us all,
That is true.
everyone
Thank
listening,
you.
as Christians, we don't believe aliens exist. And
What?
that think
Well, maybe
the
Nathan
rest of
does.
us except Nathan don't believe aliens exist.
Well, how can you say aliens don't exist? You haven't definitively proven that.
I think it depends on what you think an alien is.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think it's pretty interesting to think about the pyramids and how exactly they were built, because a lot of the things that we do now, while we think they are kind of impressive, compared to ancient architecture, isn't really that cool. Because if you think about not the aliens, if you think about the Egyptians and how it would be possible for them to build the pyramids, especially without the technology we have today, it is crazy.
And also the Sphinx. That thing's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh my god, why is this turning into
there's a lot of thoughts about the fact of slave labor back in the day with the Egyptians.
the Israelites?
If you think about it,
Let's call it what it is.
during biblical times, Israel was captive in Egypt for over 300 years. So there's a lot of people in the tribes of Israel at that time that would have been under slave labor. But the secular world seems to believe that they were not built by slave labor. I don't know why they think that. But I was doing some research, specifically Discovery.com says that, the pyramids were not built by slave labor. But they did talk about how they used some kind of pulley system, because the stones that are used for the pyramid are actually from a completely different area than where the pyramids are built. So, it's like across the desert. I don't know which desert, but it's quite a ways away from where the actual pyramids are built. So if you think about it, I mean, they're using these granite type stones that they would have had to quarry out of wherever they quarried them from. And back then, I mean, did they have explosives to just blast chunks of rocks out of the mountainsides to make these massive quarries? Or no? I mean, we don't know. But then the fact of, let's say they have these chunks of stone and they're deep inside this quarry. Well, then they've got to get them all the way up out of the quarry, take them all the way across the desert to wherever they're going to build them, and then you build your first layer. But then even to just get this set of stones onto the second layer and so on would be very challenging. And so it's, there's not just one pyramid, there's multiple pyramids.
Yeah.
in
And not
Egypt.
only just the pyramids,
There's a
Um,
KFC right next to him.
The slaves built that too.
Very authentic.
There's other things like mega structures around the world, like in the Stonehenge area, like that. Those stones are massive.
That was
and-
also aliens, Wesley.
I see. It's crazy. There's that. There's the those like what are they in the islands?
The
Easter
human-
Island.
Yeah, the Easter
Easter
Island
Island.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things are huge as well.
Or the ziggurats in the Mayan culture.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah.
look at me like I'm
One of
nuts.
the-
They're a thing.
The ziggurats.
One of the
They're-
things
that's
that
what they're called.
one of the things that I've thought about with that is potentially that prior to the flood, that it was possible that these structures could have been created. Because a lot of the times they're kind of worn out, but they're also built of stone. So, like, they would probably survive being underwater. And one of the things that we do know is, biblically, is that people in the past were a lot smarter and lived for a lot longer than we did. We do now.
Smarter than who?
Smarter than
Average
us.
person.
Me.
I'll
But
put myself in
they
that
definitely,
category. Don't point at her like, oh yeah, fact.
they definitely live longer, and those kind of things would take a long time. So if we're thinking on like a normal, like, say 50-year lifespan of an Egyptian, probably, in the time frame,
I'm
then
gonna
it would be
live
like
longer
impossible.
than 50 years. I think.
But like if you're thinking that they probably were healthier than us and they were probably living for a lot longer than we are, like maybe hundreds of years, then it would make more sense that they're able to build these massive structures. And another thing is they all look very similar.
Oh, so it's like 5-hour work week, basically.
So like,
What?
Well, if they live longer, they don't have to dedicate as much of their time to moving the stones. So it's less of percentage. See?
Because
Potentially.
they're spreading out their work.
you
over
but then
said
they
that-
still wouldn't be able to move the stones.
You said
in
that
time.
after he said they all look similar, like that had to do something with the fact that they all
5-hour work
So
week.
like
Well.
you'll find
carbon
like,
copy one and paste.
Exactly. You'll
So-
find a bunch of stuff around the world. So it could have been possibly before the flood because you would think that things are closer together. Like Africa is closer to South America if it was all together in one continent.
Yeah, if you think about like Pangea
Mm.
and stuff like that, where all the continents were together in one big landmass, and then of course we know that all the continents had to have been on one big landmass because they all interconnect like puzzle pieces,
Yeah.
like perfectly. And so, if that's true, like you're saying, it could have been that it was much easier to build everything because everything was much closer to each other. My other thought was, what about they could have been built maybe during the time of Joseph being in charge of things in Egypt, and maybe they were used.
Oh,
I mean, I know
people
that they were
work
used
harder
for like tombs for pharaohs and stuff like that. But what about storehouses for their food? This
Well-
massive famine's coming.
According to the movie Joseph, King of Dreams, they
Good one.
stored the food in the pyramids.
They did? Oh, I
Yep.
did not know that.
Historical movie. by the way.
That movie is
Historical,
extremely
biblical.
accurate to the biblical account.
Who
Also,
Live documented.
who made it?
It's a
Disney?
documentary.
DreamWorks.
Oh
made that
yeah,
one.
they're definitely
Live
biblically.
Jesus
Jeff
Christ
Goldblum?
Superstar also.
His brother.
was-
Very accurate. Would you say Joseph King of Dreams?
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum
Technicolor
was
Dreamcoat.
not in Joseph King of Dreams. Jeff Goldblum was in what's the one about Moses?
Oh, Jeff Goldblum was in The Switch with Jennifer Aniston and Bateman.
Are you Prince of Thieves?
Prince
Prince of
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Thieves, I think, is the Aladdin.
Yep, it
third
is.
movie.
That's King of Thieves.
Oh,
Oh, that's King of Thieves.
Prince of Persia is another movie and video
Nice.
game.
Oh.
It's true. There are quite a few Prince of Persia games. Okay, well,
quite a
even if
few
they weren't used
princes
for
of
storing
Persia.
food, just think about this. So, if a pyramid is used for a tomb, that means that they had to build the outside structure, right? But that means then they had to cut into
Carve
the
out
stones
rooms.
and start making chambers for these pharaohs. And I'm sure they're not like small chambers. They would have been massive things because the pharaohs would have been like, I want something
Very
glorious,
intricate.
so that way I can, it honors me. And I was reading that they had this like Hall of Fame chamber that was leading to the the pharaoh's like tomb and stuff like that, and it was a 26-foot vaulted ceiling inside of
Wow.
this stone,
That's impressive.
which means that they would have had to have these
Some type
system,
of ladder.
ladder system to get up there and to be carving into this granite. But just granite is not some super soft stone, so it would have been, very difficult for whatever types of tools that they would have had
And when
to
they
try to make these rooms. And this 26-foot vaulted ceiling is massive.
buried the pharaoh, it wasn't just him that was in there. It was lots of jewelry and food and gifts and that kind of thing because they believed that they could take it
Right, to their
into the
afterlife. Yes, just like our doggy.
Welcome to the
Speaking of other weird things in Africa, have you guys
Weird things in Africa? Is
Like-
that what you said?
yeah,
Okay.
weird structures? Have you guys ever heard of the Eye of Africa?
I did
Refresh
not.
me because it sounds familiar.
Is that like the Eye of London?
Or the Eye of Sauron?
Definitely not that one.
Neither of those.
Oh.
Hobbits.
Basically, it
You're
is
taking Hobbits
where
to Isengard.
some people believe the lost city of Atlantis is.
That's a good movie
That is a
too.
good one. I volunteer.
Okay.
So
So where is
apparently,
it located inside of Africa?
So the sick is in
it's in the
I
Sahara.
know.
And the main reason why people think this is, I think it was Plato, potentially. It was one of the Greek philosophers, I think Plato,
Socrates.
and he was in one of his writings or potentially sayings, because I don't think Plato actually wrote the stuff that he said.
Oh, you think he had a ghostwriter?
Well, I don't know about that, but I think that he didn't. It was
Someone else
his
wrote down his stuff.
yeah, his
Whoa.
followers,
He had a scribe.
disciples.
Is it-
That's the way to do it.
Like
Jesus
Jesus.
did.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you do it. He wrote down about how there was this city with like super modern technology, describing some kinds of technology that we associate with Atlantis, and how it was a ring of 3 different cities inside of a lake. And in the Eye of Africa, it looks like there's potentially 3 rings of land, and then 3 different lakes, like places where water would have been. Isn't there anymore because Sahara is a desert, but potentially,
Global warming.
maybe. Well, actually, not
Kidding.
probably, because it used to be that the Amazon rainforest was a desert, but now it's a rainforest, obviously. Yeah, which is quite interesting. So more like global climate shifting.
Sure. That's fair.
Speaking of international places, Wesley just came back from a trip to Brazil, and we heard he had a great flight over and a great time there. Would you care to explain some of your experiences, Wesley?
I don't really want to relive them, to be honest.
You were there for a good cause.
However,
Yeah, why did you go to Brazil? You should.
I went to Brazil on a missions trip to a camp, and we were working to help rebuild and just help them build up and get ready for their children's camp. However, before the flight, I was feeling super sick because I had just driven from Florida to Missouri for like 16 hours. I drive on Sunday, I get back Monday, work on Monday, and then I'm leaving on Tuesday. I woke up Tuesday morning and was like, I can't do this. There's no way I can leave. I was convinced that I should go, and so I'm flying from Missouri to Atlanta for 2 hours. Not bad. Done that flight multiple times. It's easy. However, the flight from Atlanta to Sao Paulo was horrible. It's 8 hours. You have basically no leg room whatsoever. Thankfully, on that flight, we were upgraded from normal level to comfort plus level, but it was still awful. Your seat goes back all of like 2 inches, and you're trying to sleep. It's legit impossible. Anyways, would not recommend. Would not recommend. And
what are suggestions on how to combat the fact that you're sitting for that long for people who might be going on
well,
close soon trips?
Just don't go.
Like Brianna.
Informational
Option
podcast.
1 is take some sleeping pills and go to sleep. You it could be good. It could be good. It could help you. I did not have any.
Well,
And it was impossible to sleep both there and on the way back. On the way back, we did not get upgraded, and so we had even less. I would highly, highly recommend not going in the poor people's economy class.
pay
on
for first class.
Any
Ooh, with the little
first class
sleeping
may be
pod.
expensive, but like I don't know how much money you can spend on flights,
A lot.
but if it's not that much of an upgrade, you should definitely upgrade from base level to whatever the next level up at least is. It is so much better. Because think about this. You're sitting on that flight for 8 hours to there. It could be even longer if you're going further away, how long are you going on a flight, Brianna? Like 16 hours or something?
16 hours.
Bro.
yes.
Non-stop?
Upgrade.
Non-stop.
Upgrade.
You're gonna die.
Oh,
But
I don't think I
got
could sit for that
I
long.
got my snackle box.
Very
My
proud of
snackle
you.
box came yesterday.
Find some
Nice.
good movies.
tell us what Snackle Box is.
So it's like a tackle box for your snacks. It is a snackle box. And I got one, and I'm going to put snacks in it and put it in my backpack for my 16-hour flight.
Nice.
One thing about plane food is it's not as bad as people say. I've always heard that it's horrible.
You always should order the kosher meal.
What's the difference?
Why?
It's better food.
Is it?
Yeah,
The kosher meal?
maybe.
Oh.
Or you could also maybe order the kids meal. Also, solid choice. Get a cheeseburger.
And some French fries?
Yeah, maybe.
Some little-
Chips.
Some nuggies?
What did you said that the meal you guys had was actually really good. What was it?
There was one meal that was a chicken meal that had this amazing cheese that I've never had in my life before, but it was so good. Everything just tasted, I don't know, it tasted good. Obviously, your taste is not as good as normal because you're in the sky. But
Wait, for
How does
real?
that affect things?
When you're
For
at
real?
What?
yeah,
when you're at 3,000 feet, it doesn't
That
taste so good.
altitude, it affects your taste buds?
yes, things taste different.
Wild.
So that's another reason why people think airplane food plane food tastes bad is because your taste buds are actually different.
And that's why
In the
food
plane.
in Colorado sucks.
There you go.
I
Heard it
had
here
some
first.
really
Next time
delicious food in
I'm
Colorado.
flying tomorrow
Imagine
to
what that
Atlanta
food is.
and to Asheville, North Carolina for a work thing, and so now I'm gonna have to
Order some food.
try to figure out.
You don't
If-
get no
Try
food on
apple
those.
juice or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him for some kind of something that I'd be
Drink
like,
it before and then after.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
or
to find
during.
something in the Atlanta airport or St. Louis airport for apple juice, and then I'll on the plane because I'm flying Delta. I'll be like, "You guys got any apple juice? I gotta test.
You gotta
something."
get the same brand though, so it's a fair test.
Oh.
That's
Or
too
you just get
difficult.
an apple juice on the plane and then save the last little bit for when you land.
Could do that.
Normally they do it in cups though, so it's kind of hard.
Oh yeah.
You
just
can
ask for a
You
can.
can usually ask for the bottle or the can.
Hmm.
They'll give it to you sometimes.
Fun fact about Brianna and airplanes: she refuses to use the restroom. She refuses
On
to.
an airplane,
on an airplane.
specifically in an airplane bathroom.
Well, I don't think
will
you'll be
use
able
the
to
bathroom
survive.
in life.
How do you expect to do that for 16 hours?
Well, I told my boss that I would wear an adult diaper,
No.
and
Oh,
he
no.
said,
Stop.
"I am not sitting next to you." I'm not
That's
doing
not
that though.
worth.
Yes, I have a very, very irrational fear of using an airplane bathroom, and I think it's only because I've never done it before, so I don't know what the experience is like, and that scares me, so I don't want to.
I said
It's
that
not
we should
bad
do a
for girls.
simulation.
On
No,
my-
it's very bad for girls.
No, it's not.
As
Here's-
a girl, it's
this
bad.
is-
As a
This
guy,
is
you're
my-
standing up and the turbulence hits while you're going
Ex-
everywhere.
That's my fear. That while I'm using the bathroom, we're gonna hit like major turbulence, and I'm just gonna like go flying around in the bathroom.
It's not very
break-
big, so.
Break my neck, and no one will know that I'm dead.
Oh, they'll know because they'll
They'll be knocking down that door.
People will be like, I need to
don't
use the
think-
restroom!
Why is this girl taking so long?
poop!
I think that we should do a simulation with Brianna where we put her in a porta potty, and then the rest of us around her start shaking.
Oh, that's
Hold on,
horrible.
Brianna!
That's horrible. That is not a real simulation because the toilet in the airplane does not have all the stuff still left in it at the bottom where it would splash all over
That
you.
legitimately is my worst fear. Okay, so my dad's a general
Oh,
contractor.
no.
So growing up, like when we would go to work with him, like the only bathroom to use is a porta potty, and I would refuse to use it because one, I was afraid that my dad or my uncle or my brother would come and would shake the porta potty while I was using it. So I also refused to use porta potty bathrooms.
Anyways, so yeah, so irrational fear of using porta potties is a real thing.
Thank
I've
you.
always had irrational fears. Well, I have irrational fears of going in there just because it's so gross.
It's
Like,
disgusting. I refuse to
That's
go.
you-
not irrational though. I feel like that's a normal.
That's
fear.
very
Well, that's-
rational.
Like it
That's
is
fine.
It's
gross.
not a
Normal
fear. It's
fear.
just
Or actually,
common
a,
sense.
a dislike of using porta potties.
They stink.
They
too.
stink. They're disgusting. And then you leave the porta potty, and you're like, I'm covered in germs from hand to toe. The least I can do is to wash my hands. And you go over to the portable hand washing station, and it's either always out of soap or always out of water.
Those
And
used
so
to
then
not
you
even
walk
be a
around the
thing.
fair with your hands all the way out in front of you, just like a blind person
The
feeling your
portable
way.
water things didn't used to even be a thing. That was
Yeah.
like that's a new thing. Like I remember back when I was a kid, all you had was a hand sanitizer
Mhm.
pumper in the thing, and
Mhm.
you go pump, pump, pump. And
You don't even get that at the construction site.
Oh, you just spit on it. Hot,
Ew.
hot tub.
No.
I knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming.
I'm not finishing it.
There goes our explicit.
No,
rating.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
Oh my goodness.
So your 16-hour flight is to where?
South Korea,
Okay.
Whoa.
and then
On
another.
to where?
Well, from South Korea we have a layover in Shanghai, and then from Shanghai we
Shanghai's
go to
not in South Korea.
No, we go to South Korea. From South Korea we go to Shanghai, and then from Shanghai we go to Sri Lanka.
Got that too.
These are the different stops we're making.
So that's
St.
hilarious.
Louis, Atlanta, Seoul,
Okay.
Shanghai, Sri Lanka.
Where in Sri Lanka?
It's a real long name. I don't know how to pronounce
Is
it.
it
Okay,
Bangalore? No, that's India.
No, that's not the one we're flying into. Hold on.
Next week on Do You Know Your Geography?
Bangladesh.
Answer: obviously not.
Sri Lanka Airport. Colombo
Are you gonna-
Bandaranaike.
Whoa,
Oh.
that's butchered.
That is-
That's where I'm going.
That is a name and a half. Hey, I figured out what penguins. So,
What
That was random.
penguins. For people who are listening, Nathan loves penguins.
What?
Wings.
That's his
Penguins.
favorite thing to go and look at the zoo.
That's fair.
But there are
One
some
time
people
we
that
left
believe.
him all day
At
in
the
in
penguin- at
the
the Nebraska.
aquarium.
We
zoo,
went all over the zoo.
and he stayed there.
stayed
In
with
Nebraska.
The penguins.
And then he didn't even want to come and hang out and watch movies with us.
That's true. He just got DoorDash.
That's fair.
Oh, that was great. I got a burrito from a taco truck.
So
Anyways,
best
penguins.
trip
there are
ever.
people that believe that penguins are actually the extinct bird, the great auk, which
Shout
are
out to
flightless
Wesley's
birds.
wedding.
Not because of penguins, but because
Original
of Nebraska.
explorers to Antarctica thought that they
So-
were fish.
The gray auk was a flightless bird that lived in the North Atlantic. It was about 75 centimeters tall and spent most of its time at sea, coming to shore in the summer to breed. The gray auk was popular as meat and bait for centuries, and its fat, eggs, and feathers were sold as commercial goods. The gray auk became extinct in the mid-19th century.
How
Good
big
thing
was
this
it?
thing died. It's ugly.
75
It kind of
centimeters
looks
tall.
like a puffin.
How big
Yeah,
is
but
that?
ugly.
He's American.
Well,
American.
he's
Oh,
also
sure.
like
How big
preserved.
is
So
75?
yeah,
75
Look
centimeters is
in inches?
7.3.
Are Are they sure this isn't
That's just 30 inches.
29
the ancestor
inches,
of the
yeah, 30
puffin?
inches.
Yeah. So
Couple
it's
feet.
30 inches tall. That's
Not very big.
2.5 feet.
That's actually reasonable.
That's a decent
I've never.
sized bird.
Well, that's how big
Who?
penguins are.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's reasonable.
That's why.
So
they
you think
thought
they're
they
like
were
cousins or
penguins.
something of
But
that?
some people
or-
believe that they are, or that they're just a variant of the great auk.
I
And
mean, it's
penguins aren't their
possible.
own thing.
I mean,
Penguins don't actually like the cold that much. I don't think.
Good thing we're warming up Antarctica.
Exactly.
Melting those ice caps, baby.
Helping
Sorry,
them out. We like
penguins.
penguins.
Sorry.
this is.
Did you know sometimes penguins just give up on life?
No,
Yeah.
they do.
So if you're like in Antarctica as like a
And they're
researcher,
Like, oh, look, a killer whale.
sometimes the penguins just start walking off into the wilderness.
just to die?
Yeah.
Is that
what my
mainly
dog
when they
did.
lose their mate, or
That's what I
just in
told my
general?
dog.
They just
Just
will do it.
every now and then they're like, Antarctica sucks. I'm gonna end it all.
And
I
they
mean,
find themselves.
Emperor penguins, the males, they just have to hang out at home while their wives go off and get all the food for their
I thought they
soon-to-be-born
swap.
babies.
Don't they swap back and forth?
I mean,
Oh, I
but
don't know.
the
I
males
mean, I've just
also
I've
lay on the
watched
egg.
documentaries that men have to stay and stand on the egg for like the whole time that the
Yeah.
women go out and hunt for food, and then they come back, and it's like during the coldest time of the season.
Yeah.
Like, and so they're just standing there getting blasted by blizzards in the Arctic.
It's like an episode of Dirty Jobs.
That's fair.
Have y'all seen that show?
Yeah,
Yes.
I know
Okay.
Dirty Jobs is.
Yeah.
They used to be a huge TLC or Home Network or whatever it was on.
Maybe the Discovery.
Also,
Channel.
for our listeners, I wanted to talk about the Roanoke colony that was the first settled colony in America in North Carolina. But no one else on this podcast,
Your
except
wife
for
did.
Zoe, knows what in the world Roanoke colony even
What
was.
even is a Roanoke?
It's also possible that I just forgot about it because I didn't care.
Well, maybe. But so the
I mean,
context
it was
for
forgotten,
those
apparently,
even maybe
so.
on the podcast that don't know it, the in North Carolina there's an island called Roanoke Island, and so the first settlers from England that settled in the United States came over.
In 1587.
Yes, and they made their colony there, and their captain John White said, "Hey, I got to go back to get some supplies and some more people, and I will be back in 3 years' time." So he leaves. He goes back over to England, and he gets stuck for a period of time, and then he comes back in 1590.
Wait,
And when he shows up,
87 to 1590.
mhm,
Okay, so
They
3 years.
left. They left England in 1587, and then he came back in 1590.
1590.
So
And so when
he
he
was
showed
here.
up,
Okay, so it's not quite.
when
3
he
years.
showed up, there was no one to be found in the colony. It was overgrown. Things had been run down, and the only thing that they found was a word written on one of the posts of one of the village town hall, and all it said was Roanoke or Croatoan. Sorry.
So clearly, without knowing anything about this story, the guy that was like, "See you guys in 3 years," killed them all. Like,
Maybe.
that's a
I
perfect
would
cover.
also like to say
Like,
now
I
that
left for 3 years. I don't know what happened
I
to him.
did learn about this, but I didn't learn about it as like a disappearing island, as it was described to
no,
me
no, no, no,
earlier.
no, no, no.
The
The
island did
people
not disappear.
disappeared.
The people that were on the island just disappeared.
He was
Suspect
gone
number
for
one.
3 years.
Yeah.
After he killed them all.
Okay, what does this word mean?
So there is. I tried to look up the meaning. There's no actual true meaning of what Croatoan means, but the theory is that the settlers moved to an island near Roanoke Island called Croatoan Island, which is a part
Where there
of
was
North
a Native
Carolina.
American tribe called the
And so it's
Croatoan
possible
tribe.
that the settlers were like, "Bro, we've been here for 3 years. Like, are we just gonna sit here and wait for this guy John White to come back with equipment, or do we make a way for ourselves? Or the Native Americans found their way to Roanoke Island, and then they became friends, and they were like, come live with us.
Explicit rating number 3.
We're talking about history. It happens.
So, but
Interesting.
there's no, like, John White, when he came back over, they didn't try to go over to Croatoan Island. They didn't do anything. So, like,
Maybe
no one
he didn't
actually
know about
knows.
Maybe he did kill him.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe he did. Maybe he knew.
Maybe he wrote
Well, 'cause,
that on there.
Like,
Perfect cover.
Clear-
this would have
Clearly-
been after Christopher Columbus came.
Long after.
And so,
100 years.
obviously, the Native Americans are already upset with the settlers coming from England. Because
But we
we're, like,
taught
coming
them how
over.
to plant corn.
We also
They
murdered
taught
them
us.
with our diseases.
They
I don't-
taught us how to plant corn.
Smallpox.
Yeah, I don't think we did the corn.
But
thing.
we-
They probably already knew how to do
We came
things.
over
They-
here.
I
How to
think they
survive.
were doing okay.
I'm sorry. They told us. We gave them turkey and stuffing and gravy.
In return,
Hey, you
and
see that
mashed
turkey?
potatoes.
You ready for what I'm about to say?
I think we just brought guns.
I think we brought death to them. I think
We
they were
brought them
doing
guns
okay.
and
They
diseases,
would've
and we're
done-
like, "Hey, can you show us how to survive here?"
And they're like, sure. And you're like, great. We will take away your ability to survive with our smallpox and our polio.
Also,
And
you
our-
die.
Bubonic plague.
can we take your land?
but don't worry,
And
we'll
No,
give
you can plant there. That's
Oklahoma.
fine. This is our land. And we come. You mean my land?
This is
Ooh.
yeah.
Cabbage
This is totally mine now.
Barely even human.
They're like, this
Who
is
knows
for
what
all of
that's
us
from?
to share. Now,
Well, what I said is not actually from the movie.
No.
I didn't say the actual word.
Shout out to the First Nations before we get marked as explicit again.
the First Nations.
Yeah, that's the polite thing you're supposed to say. You guys don't know it because you're not as polite as me.
I don't think someone has ever said that about
Where-
Nathan.
What are we talking about? What's First Nations?
That's what you refer to the Native Americans as.
That's
Oh.
what we're supposed to call them?
I
Yeah,
thought it was Native American.
you
I
guys
thought
are
they were
behind the times, bro.
Oops.
I do not keep track of what's politically correct. That's for sure.
Well,
So we killed them.
John.
John
pretty-
White killed them.
Oh.
If anybody killed
We-
them.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, clearly.
But there's
he killed them.
the reason that it's confusing is because like there's no signs of struggle, so it's not like they were attacked by Native Americans, or else the Native Americans were really good at cleaning up their mess.
Hey.
And
Oh, no, not you.
so we don't know if they were attacked, but they didn't find any dead bodies, so seems like they probably are still alive.
The
Not
people are
anymore.
still alive from the
No.
1500s.
No, they are. They're still
Oh.
alive,
Aliens.
just like dinosaurs.
I
I
have
think
seen
dinosaurs are out there
something
still.
on the Discovery Channel where they were like, the mystery of Roanoke, and then they were like, clearly aliens
That's
did
what
it.
I said.
I mean, and it's on TV, it's gotta be true. Science Channel.
Yeah. Star Wars was on TV too. So.
That's
That's
in
a
a galaxy far, far away. It could be.
Yeah,
Bro,
we
you
just
know how many
we filmed
galaxies
it
there are?
through a telescope.
The whole movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
bro.
riddle me this:
Batman.
how do we have telescopes that can see light years away from where we are?
We can't
Because
because a
people
light
are
year is a measurement of time.
No.
No,
Or
it's,
light years
it's
is a
also
measure of
measurement
distance
to
only.
distance.
It's not a measure of time.
It
It's
is a confusing
distance.
title. I understand.
So, like, they
The
It's
terribly titled measurement.
it's distance.
how
yeah, because it's how far
do we have
light
lenses
travels.
that can do that? type of
Because there
stuff?
are people who are smarter than us.
Science.
No, because light
Reason we
comes
don't
to the
know.
Earth, just like light comes
No,
from
he's
stars.
talking about the telescope.
I know.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
okay.
The way that we can do it is by capturing enough of the light and focusing it down into a small area. And generally, you keep the telescope pointed to the same area for a long period of time. Just like, you know how old cameras worked?
exposed capture
Yeah,
time. Yeah, okay.
where you had to sit there and you had to expose the
Mhm.
like photographic.
Let's say
Paper
old
to the-
camera words. Aperture.
It's also
Anyways,
like
it works the same
That's-
way.
That's
really.
a newer, well, not newer, but
It just
That
has
would
like a
suck, sis.
larger lens, basically, than a camera.
so they just leave it open for a long period of time. and
Yeah,
then
that's
let
how
it
we get
suck
the nice photos, and that's why we don't have videos.
in.
But you can get stuff from looking at the moon and stuff live because that's so much closer. You don't there's a lot more light coming. So you just need
Yeah.
a longer lens.
I
That
once
focuses
worked
the
at
light
the
down
photo
better.
counter of an Albertsons,
What is an Albertsons?
the grocery store.
So you developed film.
Is that a Texas?
Basically.
No,
No.
no, I just handed it to the people when they came and told me their name.
Oh.
And
It's
then
an important
sometimes
job.
I looked at all their photos. Just kidding.
Oh
no.
my goodness.
It's
I
okay,
saw
you can't be
things
fired
I
from
never
there anyway.
want to see again.
I mean, someone had to look at them to
That's
develop
true.
them.
Speaking of that,
Yeah.
bro.
It's not wrong.
Oh my word! I used to work at a phone repair shop.
Oh, you
Oh,
break,
yeah.
I fix.
Oh.
In Port
Sometimes
Charlotte,
people
or-
just leave stuff like on their phones and they're like, "Hey, can you help me get my photos back?" And you're like, "Bro, please
Explicit
don't."
rating number 4.
We didn't.
I'm not gonna say what's on there,
anything.
but like in general, man, it's wild, bro.
Wonder if they have like an
The
implied.
things that people like save as their
explicit
like
rating.
desktop or their wallpaper images or just like random things, and you're just like trying to test to see if the phone works.
Yep.
You're like,
And
this
you're
app is broken. You open the app and you're like, bro,
They're like, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
I didn't realize. But most of the time we'd open it in the back and then we'd just ignore it and not tell them what happened. We're like, yeah, we fixed it.
It's fixed.
You're welcome.
Have you guys ever heard what a black hole sounds like?
Nothing.
They captured audio of what a black hole sounds like a couple years ago, and it is quite frightening.
What does it sound like? Screaming?
No, I'll find an audio clip and plug it into in the podcast right here.
Bro, that's super ominous.
I don't like it. I get bad vibes.
Sounds like NASCAR.
Sounds like an
Bro, maybe
it
that's
sounds
what
like
they're
an
doing.
alien. The aliens.
So
alien
that is what a
NASCAR.
black hole sounds like.
That is weird.
I would be scared
Indy
if I heard that.
500.
They NASA also
It's the Pluto 500.
back in 2019 where when they were taking that audio sound, they also saw a black hole swallow this star. All right, completely consumed it, and then like a year later, the exact same star came back out of the black hole, like spit it back out.
It's a little spicy.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
Space is
So-
wild, man.
we can do some more research and talk about that later. But like that is a crazy thing about what is even a black hole in the grand scheme. It's just a ball of matter that consumes.
That's what we think.
Have you guys ever had
We need Jared to come and tell us what it truly
freeze
is.
dried
Well, I don't know if
food?
Jared knows what that is, but
Yes,
he
I
does
have
know
had
about
freeze-dried Skittles.
some other
Oh, like
good
the Soviets.
conspiracies.
Like
Yeah.
the Soviets.
That's what we should make episode 3 is our conspiracy episode.
Yeah.
We get Jared before his child is born.
Yes, this has to be the
Because
time.
otherwise we'll be waiting forever to get him on the podcast.
That's true.
Well,
That should be the next one.
yeah. So
Well,
this is a little plug
definitely-
for the next episode. So our next episode will be a conspiracy episode podcast, and we'll have a special guest. His name is
Jared.
Jared. So join us back for that. Also, for those that have listened on Spotify podcasts, we're going to be moving also our podcast and putting it on Google Podcasts and hopefully Apple Podcasts. So if you're not only a Spotify user, you can find us there. But thank you guys for joining us for episode 2 of What Did You Say? And we hope that you guys will come back for more episodes.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
What did you say?
Steve.
Do, 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 Steve.
Steve.